Molly, what's your name?
Molly.
Okay. Molly, what's your name?
Holly. I already said it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Let's say it one more time.
And you can just say it as this. Say, my name's Molly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Molly.
Okay. And how old are you?
I am 5.5.
Okay. And Molly, how long have you had diabetes?
I don't know.
How old were you when you found out you had diabetes?
I think I was 4 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Y'all want to pull this out?
Yes. Mama, can you look on cleaning some stuff up?
Molly was diagnosed when she was just over 4 years of age, October 14th, 2007. And she's 5.5 now.
She is a bright child who loves to read and has a huge heart.
Hey, Callie. Do you want to play parachute with us? You can be in the middle. It's a lot of fun to be in the middle.
I think Molly was very fortunate in the way in which she was diagnosed because she was totally asymptomatic. It was October 2007, and the middle of October, she had had a fever for about 4 or 5 days and had to miss school. And of course, Gretel and I, both being pediatricians, wanted to kind of get to the source of the fever so we could send her back to school. And on that Sunday, Gretel said, you stay home with the other two, and I'm going to run her down to our office just to check to make sure she doesn't have strep throat or a bladder infection or something that's causing the fever.
And I took her to my office and I dipped her urine, and it showed sugar in her urine, and I thought, that's odd. And I said, I never do this. The nurses always check the urines. I'm looking at it backwards. I've got it upside down. I'm doing something wrong. So we dipped it again and still came up sugar in her urine. And I called Stephen and I said, Stephen, I don't understand. She's got glucose in her urine. And he said, my goodness, we need to call the pediatrician. And I can just remember saying, I don't understand.
I was going to meet Gretel and Molly at the office, and I remember driving over there just being petrified, thinking of the implications of what that could mean.
And they checked her blood sugar, and she was in the high 300s. And my brain, it was almost like I had never seen a child with diabetes before, because I can remember looking at Stephen and saying, is that high? You know, and I know that, you know, but I was like, I was in mommy mode. I wasn't in physician mode. I was totally in mommy mode.
And I remember sitting there scared and afraid. And the one question that came out was, is she going to be okay? It was the fear of a father whose firstborn child is afflicted with something that she had no control over, something that she didn't cause, something that we had no knowledge was there. And in fact, something that we were almost up until that point, were denying could even happen to our family. And the one question I could come out with was, is she going to be okay? And follow-up questions was, is she going to be able to get married? Is she going to be able to have children? Things that in another circumstance, or perhaps even for another family, I might have been able to answer, but that information wasn't there at the time in which she was diagnosed.
The hardest part about having diabetes is when people are doing a lot of fun stuff that I really want to do, and I feel low and I can't do it. Let's go, guys! Denton helps me by sometimes keeping me brave when Mama's not around and I get pump changes.
What does Molly have that makes her have to check her blood sugar?
Diabetes.
Denton is now 4. He was 2.5 when Molly was diagnosed. Ashby is now almost 2. She was right at 6 months when Molly was diagnosed, and Caroline was not even a thought at that at that time. So, but I don't think they I don't think we ever sat down and explained it to Denton, especially at 2.5. He just sort of assumed this is it. And of course, Ashby's not ever known anything else. She just grows up. She's grown up just saying, this is Molly, and she'll look at the glucometer and say, Molly's sugar, you know, and Denton, Denton's big thing is, the thing that he always says is, he was like, Molly's got diabetes. Good thing I don't have diabetes.
You ready? Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I want to do it.
You want to do it? Okay.
I think she's more mature. I really do, and she's always been mature to me. The first time I had to do that, I was doing her blood sugar and checking her insulin. I was a nervous wreck, and she kept saying, "Granty, don't be nervous. You can do it." So she has certainly shown me a lesson in courage and acceptance, and I just think she's a marvel.
Gretel and I were in the car one day with my identical twin 7-year-old girls and Molly, and we were talking about obstacles in our lives. And one of my girls said, well, math is my obstacle. It's like, okay, I don't think she really understands what an obstacle is. But when it came time for Molly to talk about her obstacles, she was silent. And she said, you know, I don't have any obstacles. This is my 5-year-old niece with type 1 diabetes and newly diagnosed with celiac disease. And this precious 5-year-old says she has no obstacles. And to me, that is an absolute direct reflection of my brother Stephen and my sister-in-law Gretel. Their attitude, diabetes, she has diabetes doesn't have her. She is not a victim. There's nothing that she did or didn't do in order to get this disease. And I just think that is such an attribute to them.
I want to be an animal rescuer.
An animal rescuer. Wow. What else do you want to be when you grow up?
A mom.
A mom. Okay. And what else do you want to be when you grow up?
Maybe an artist.
Maybe an artist. Okay.
We were talking about describe what diabetes is, describe what celiac disease is, and I said, Molly, does it ever make you jealous that your friends don't have to deal with celiac disease and don't have to deal with diabetes? And her eyes welled up with tears. And she says, Mama, I don't think I can talk about this without crying. And of course I was like, I can't either. And she said, I said, it's all right. Sometimes you need to cry. Sometimes you just need to let those emotions out and it's okay. And she just cried and she said, Mom, she said, sometimes I'm so tired of having to be brave all the time. And she said, but then bless her heart, I mean, it was like that moment of pain and self-pity was done, and she was like, but you know what, it's just something we have to deal with. Next question. And then it was done, and then it was done. And I just thought, as I'm like sobbing and I'm like, I'm done for the day, I need to go to bed now, you know.
Well, I think it's our attitude that has really changed in the sense that Molly always just accepted it, and she taught us, and in the sense, even though when she was 4 years old, she would have some acceptance, and it made us really more comfortable around her. And so I think her attitude has always been just very positive. This is just the way it is with me. And she was talking to her cousins, who are twin girls a year older than she is, and she admitted yesterday after a soccer game, she says, you know, diabetes is just not much fun.
The reason we support JDRF so much is because it's our hope. It's our hope for the future, and it's Molly's hope for the future, because if Stephen and I ever slip up and say you're going to wear your insulin pump on the day you get married, or we talk about her as an adult having diabetes, Molly will flat out look at us and say, I'm not going to have diabetes as an adult. And in her heart of hearts, she believes that there are people every day that are out working to find a cure, you know, and it's the faith of a child that it's going to happen, and she's not going to have to live like this forever. And that's why we do what we do. That's why we walk. That's why we are involved with the Gala. That's why we're involved with all this, because I want to be able to give that to her.
What are you going to do on the day that the cure is here?
I'm gonna go to the cure party with my parents, even if we're still in our pajamas.